This episode may contain discussions that some viewers may find distressing. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to How to Be an Icon. I'm Jared Jones. I'm joined by Donna Cameron.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm really good. We have a bit of summer stank. It's a sweaty day. This is going to be a sweaty episode.
For many reasons. But yeah, no, it's pretty stanky today at the time of recording. So it's hot. It's not sunny, and it's not like bright, but it is warm. It's you know what? Close. People will describe it as close.
Yeah, it's very like, and I am also a bit sulky because it's a week removed from our vacation, and I remember being on vacation.
Yeah, no, it's been a while since we were. But no concrete jungles for us.
Only Liverpool.
Only Liverpool, which is,
a paradise.
It's so weird, right? Because I've never been around Liverpool and gone, God, it's so small. But it feels so dinky. It feels so tiny.
Oh, it feels like we live in a little tiny toy town.
It really does.
compared
to New York. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on your podcast platform of choice. You can follow people on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts and whatever else it is that you listen to.
You can follow them down the street as well, but don't.
But please don't. But you can also give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
And also, please leave us a comment as well. We really do appreciate it. If you have any ideas for people that you think that would be really good for this show, let us know. We may or may not do them, We are always open to suggestions. Today's episode. Now,
you said this.
I really sort of...
And I was really surprised by it because you'd been a bit unsure of what to do. And then you really had Donna, I've had an idea.
I've had an idea.
And what you said was not what I thought you were ever going to say.
No, it's an interesting one. So I'll give you a bit of background on this. I had been reading... This was before we went on vacation. I'd been reading Tim Robey's book, Box Office Poison, which is a fascinating book. And basically what
I really want to read it. I really want to read it.
It's very, very interesting. So basically what it is it's about, he goes through all of cinema history and goes through the biggest box office bombs of all time. He starts with one of the movies that we're going to be talking about a little bit later. And he ends with everyone's favorite movie, Cats. And
we have a tradition in this house where we watch Cats every 2 years.
Every 2 years, because every year is too much.
Can't do it every year. Every other year, though.
Every other year. It's absolutely perfect.
And you forget just enough about it to when you watch it again, you go, oh, this is a nightmare. This is horrible. I hate everything about this.
Yeah, it's really interesting saying about when he talks about Cats, because he talks about the phenomenon of, cult movies catching on.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, oh, I'm sure that's going to be the case with this movie. But it wasn't because of COVID.
COVID happened and we all just kind of abandoned.
Yeah, that's kind of it. And it's like, I think I love Cats, the movie.
I've never had a better experience in a cinema in my life.
Oh, I wanted to burn the cinema down at the end. That was I've never been more frustrated with anything ever. And I'll never have that experience again. So I kind of have to love it in that sense of no piece of art has ever made me feel like that.
I had the thing of, I know how it ends. And I know that there's a prologue because I'm a big fan of the show.
Yep.
And sitting in that cinema as everyone goes, okay, the chandelier's flown off.
Jennifer Hudson's in there waving goodbye, being like, is that cat just gone?
Idris Elba vanished.
Yeah.
And then Judi Dench stares down the barrel of the camera and everyone's like, oh, the film's about to end. And I have the moment of going, no, it's not. We have 10 more minutes if they do this prologue. And they do. They do it in its entirety.
She holds the cinema hostage for 10 minutes whilst...
She looks at you. She looks into your soul.
Looks dead into your eyes with a weird Uncanny Valley CGI cat face.
Her wedding ring still visible through all of it.
But a cat is not a dog, so... We will one day absolutely 100% either probably do an episode on Andrew Lloyd Webber, but we will definitely watch Cats at some point for this podcast because I can't wait. I actually really, really want to. But we're going to go all the way forward to the beginning of Tim Robey's book and talk about D.W. Griffith. Now, There's a bit of baggage that comes with this one. There's a bit of social.
Is it that I can't figure out if it's Griffiths or Griffith?
It's Griffith.
With an F. Okay.
Yes, with an F. Or with a TH. Griffith.
Oh, Griffith.
Yeah. Yes. There's a lot that kind of goes into this. It's, I'm not going to say it's a little heavier than I thought it was going to be. I knew the
You did say this. I was like, oof.
But I think it's very interesting because it's a very different episode to ones that we've done before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's obviously making movies in, the very early turn of the century, 1900s, 1910s. So unlike a lot of other sort of celebrities that we have, where we know a lot about their upbringing, we know a lot about their life, we know a lot about what they kind of did and, all throughout their period, D.W. Griffith can really be summed up by two movies, which have given him this iconic status. Now, I want to reiterate, this podcast is called How to Be an Icon, not How to Be a Good Person.
And we need you to remember that throughout this when you go, oh my God, you're talking... It's not How to Be a Good Person.
It's not...
Because that's a boring podcast, one of which we couldn't host.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. But we're better than him.
Yes, we are better than him. So, Donna, what do you know of D.W. Griffith?
I know Birth of a Nation.
Yep.
And up until about 45 minutes ago, I only knew the words Birth of a Nation.
You knew the words Birth of a Nation and racist. And
yes,
that's like...
and D.W. Griffith, and that's kind of it.
Yeah.
We'll probably get more into this. I watched in total about 15 minutes of that film and then came downstairs and was like, whoa.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's absolutely quite something.
You're going to experience some genuine naivety from me throughout this episode.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That I was so sweet to go, oh, what is... Oh.
So, yeah, couple things that we're going to reiterate. Like I say, it's how to be an icon, not how to be a good person. And this is a comedy podcast. We are not going to, we're going to get into some of the icky stuff. Of course we are. We have to.
It'd be weird if we didn't.
It'd be weird if we didn't. But we're not going to dwell on it in a super,
We're not going to come to any valuable conclusions because, as we've said every time, this is a comedy podcast.
Exactly. But there is so much material out there if you do want to read more about Birth of a Nation and both its production, which is insane, and its social consequences that happened because of it. Also insane, but in a very different way. But we're going to start at the beginning. Born David Walk Griffith on January 22nd, 1875, in Oldham County, Kentucky. He was the son of Jacob Walk Griffith, also known as Roarin' Jake.
Roarin' Jake!
And Mary Perkins. So his father, this may come in a little bit later, was a colonel for the Confederate Army during the Civil War.
Wow. So again, from the very brief bits I saw of Birth of a Nation, it's really easy to see what side of the conflict.
He was a Southern boy, let me tell you.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But he died when David was just 10 years old. His mother owned a small farm where they grew up on. His father had a lot of financial troubles throughout his life, but he was quite lazy. He'd get the family to do the farm work while he would just kind of go and drink. He didn't really do that much, wouldn't really help out with anything. When Griffith was 14, his family left the farm and his mother opened a boarding house in Louisville, Kentucky, that was unsuccessful, didn't work out. Because of this, and the family's lack of money and needing to work the farm and needing to work the boarding house later on, Griffith wouldn't receive much of an education. He would attend school for a year, but would have to drop out because they couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
They needed him to work. But he was tutored by his older sister, May, who was a school teacher. So he did have some education.
But not to the level that
yes, but
he should have.
Griffith loved learning. He was an avid reader. He would read anything he could get his hands on, and ended up becoming quite well read, and ended up taking a job in a bookstore, which is where most of the intellectuals of Louisville would end up sort of congregating and meeting and talking and stuff. So
makes sense.
Yeah, people have kind of said it's almost like a bit of a university for him because he was just sort of learning from all these different you know, philosophers, artists,
writers
and different things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
That's quite a liberal,
Yes.
presumably kind of like more liberal for Kentucky in the late 1800s.
Yes. From this, he decided that he wanted to be a playwright. He ended up going to New York City in an attempt to sell one of his plays to the Edison Studios, but it was rejected. But he was offered a part in one of the small motion pictures that was being filmed. So he accepts, thinking that'd be a good way to get his foot in the door as a playwright.
To show up as someone.
Yeah.
Also, it's that weird, like, thing that we stopped having about 20 years ago where they go, well, we don't want your manuscript, but you want to tidy up? We need a guy to go clean. And he goes, all right.
Yeah, well, this is the thing I was just about to get into. So in the 1900s, cinema was very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the films are just short films shown at what were called Nickelodeons. It's cinema.
Yes, because they cost a nickel.
They cost a nickel to get into.
And that's why we now have a cinema brand in the UK called the Odeon.
Yes. But they were not seen as very highbrow. They were very, very working class, very common, lower class sort of thing. It was like sort of seen as a bit of a novelty, you know, wasn't really respected in the way of arts and theatre.
Yes.
You know, it was quite like looked down upon. So getting into film wasn't super difficult. Hence why you go in being like, I want to write a script. And they go, well, you can be an actor instead. They just sort of throw you in there.
We just need a guy to stand over there.
Yeah, exactly. So Griffith is taking on odd jobs being an extra in several different pictures as an actor. And he ends up working in 1908 for the Biograph Company, which is a film studio, mostly as an extra. But their director fell ill, and Griffith stepped up to the studio. They only had one director. So the director's out.
And they're like, what do we do?
What do we do?
Do we have another director? No.
So
it's 1900.
Yeah, so they're just like, do you want to do it? And he goes,
all right.
Yeah, all right. So he starts working on his first movie as a director, The Adventures of Dolly, in 1908. And he gets a real joy for directing. He gets a real like passion for it. He finds it like super kind of fun to be in control. He likes playing the lead. He likes telling people what to do.
Because this is the fun thing as well. That actual period of cinema where you have like the big horns and like those big director chairs. And when you think of directing,
that's what you
like,
get. These big
people.
films with these big film reels in them and stuff.
And they're like, as you like roll it free. Fun. Yeah. That's very fun.
So he's having a lot of that. The other thing that he really enjoys is editing. He really gets a passion for it. And one of the signatures that he would develop pretty early on and would go forward in his films was the idea of cross-cutting, where you show two things happening at the same time and you're cutting between them.
Oh, interesting. So that's like one of the first sort of examples of that.
Yes, Griffith was not the first to do it.
Yeah.
But he like really got a thing for it.
Okay.
There's a lot of...
Because that's used so much in cinema now. Like it's such a staple of...
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of things that are attributed to Griffith that are like he was claimed to have invented. So like one of the ones is the close-up. That's not exactly true because close-ups had been used previously,
but it's the most like notable early example.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit more of the like intentionality towards it, like, you know.
Okay, yeah, that it was deliberate rather than...
It's a bit more deliberate kind of thing.
It's an artistic decision as opposed to...
Yeah. But Griffith had a lot of ambition when it came to making films. He would try and go to different locations. He would use interesting camera perspectives. He did stand out as a filmmaker, but most films back then did not have credits.
Yes, we talked about this. Because going back to our Walt Disney episode, a lot of the animator strike was due to people not being credited and there just not being any acknowledgement of the roles you played in those productions.
Yeah, exactly. He was quite well known in the industry. People knew and kind of respected him. Audiences didn't really know that much about him because, you know, why would they? It's like, who cares? Who cares who made the thing? They just made it. I just watched
the thing that's...
I paid a nickel to watch it. Like, I don't really care. And it was, you know, people
kind of the same way with... There are certain films that come out that you go, I don't care who directed it.
Unfortunately, yeah, that is the way, I'm afraid. Like, it's just sort of how it happens. But in his first year for Biograph, he would make 48 pictures.
Ooh.
Yes. Which the other thing is like the turnaround time on these films was so quick. In some cases, it would be weeks. In others, just a couple days. It would just be like...
And that's nuts because you don't have like a computer editing suite. You are sitting there literally with scissors, cutting the film and taping it down.
But Griffiths would get quite jealous of other studios that were sort of starting to make bigger pictures. Most of Griffiths' films were what they would call two-reelers because they would use two reels of film. And there were now starting to be productions that were six-reelers and eight-reelers.
Ooh.
To give you a bit of context, a reel of film around this point in time would be 10 to 18 minutes, depending on the projector speed. So,
oh, interesting. Okay.
So, yeah, you'd talk about things in lengths of reel of film as opposed to...
So, like a two reel is about 20 minutes.
Is about 20 minutes.
Whereas 8 is closer to... Donna's doing math very quick. It's like an hour.
Yeah, it's like six like, I think for the most part, if you go 6 reels of film, that's about an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly longer, but... And like I say, Griffith was mostly making 1 and 2 reelers. But he produces his first feature-length film in 1914. But Biograph just didn't really believe in longer films. They thought it was a waste of time. Like, who's got time for that?
Much like film studios today.
One of the actors that he uses in a lot of his movies, Lillian Gish, said that the company thought that that the movie would be so long that it would hurt the audience's eyes.
Oh, bless them. I love all of those things of like, they were scared that it'd be too exciting that your head would explode.
Yeah. Like, you can't be watching something for more than an hour. Your eyes are going to crush your eyes.
Looking at a screen for an hour.
I know. Could you imagine?
I can't, Jared. I can only imagine looking at screens for 12 to 14 hours.
Yeah, right.
I love taking a break from a screen to look at a different screen.
Oh my God, screen time treat? Big screen to little screen? Oh my God, you've never known such a pleasure. It's... Lillian, that's going to blow your mind one day.
Imagine knowing that whilst you watch a film, you might also watch a shorter, shittier film on your phone.
On your phone. Also, the feature movie went over budget, which led to a falling out between DW and Biograph. So Griffith would leave Biograph. So in retaliation, they would delay the release of the movie to March 2014? March
March 2014.
They held the spite for something like, we're not released for 100 years.
That's so funny though. Imagine doing that. Be like, yeah, there you go.
No, they would delay the film till March 1914.
Okay.
So that they wouldn't be needing to profit share with Griffith for the movie.
Again, we see this a lot in the Walt Disney episode as well. Just people slightly above you managerially going, oh, you think you're being smart? I'm smarter. I'm not going to pay you. Leave.
Well, I think Griffith may have had the last laugh on this one, though, because he goes his own way and takes most of the Biograph staff with him, including camera operator Billy Blitzer.
Great name!
He'd also take many of the actors with him, and Biograph would struggle after Griffith left because of the old Hollywood star system. So for those of you that don't know, back in the day, right up until kind of like the 60s and 70s, this would be the case.
Yeah.
That actors would be signed to studios. So you would be signed to make 5 pictures with Columbia Pictures, and that would be it. Whereas now, you're a free agent. You can hop from movie studio to movie studio. They sort of hire you freelance. You come in, you do the film, and then you go. You're not employed by Columbia.
You're working for Columbia, but whereas before you were tied into sometimes very intense and long contracts.
Absolutely, yeah. But anyway, because of this, Biograph didn't really have any stars. So they couldn't really market any of their films around their stars. It really put them on the back foot as well. Going forward, obviously, the industry would be leaning into longer films.
I was going to say, because also this is that time where you do start to see stars and things like that. There were the real big boom of celebrity magazines.
Yes.
People were choosing like their favorites and things like that in that very modern way that we see now. It's kind of where that really started.
Yeah, it is. And so they really, really struggled with that. They would release their last feature film in 1915 and their last short film in 1916. And they would remain around for the rest of the silent era, just re-releasing their old pictures. But they ended up fizzling out. So DW saw the writing on the wall. He saw that longer movies were the way to go. And yeah, he was right on that one. And it did end up leaving Biograph left out. There was also a different thing as well that was to do with antitrust laws and monopolies and things like that.
Oh, okay.
That was
all
also
that
part of
boring,
it. All that boring
gubbins.
stuff. So, just in
But
case.
he was right about one thing.
Yeah,
and I'm going to say nothing else.
Yeah,
he was right about leaving.
He was definitely right about leaving. And yeah, I think, they just didn't have the money to keep going.
Yeah.
So they ended up closing down. So, Griffith, he gets to 1915 and he makes the movie that we all know, but not really love.
No, I'm not going to say love.
Well, it was originally titled Klansman. We'll get to that. It was later retitled to Birth of a Nation, 1915.
Bad title, I guess.
So, now here's what we're going to do, everybody. We're all going to do this together, right?
Let's all hold hands.
Let's all hold hands. And I'm going to put you in this situation, right? We're going to pretend that we're having a dinner party, right? And we've invited D.W. Griffith and we've invited Birth of a Nation. But they've turned up with someone else that we did not ask to have here.
Sorry. Griffith, hi, lovely. Yep. Oh my God, you brought wine. Birth of a Nation. Thank you so much. Didn't ask for another bottle of wine, but who's the third person with you?
Oh, that's racism, all right? And so now we've only made so much food for so many people, and I don't know if we can bring racism in just yet, But we are going to have to bring racism in because DW's going to leave and Birth of a Nation's
This is like a Below Deck episode where more guests have turned up and they brought racism and they didn't tell us.
They didn't tell us. It's not on the preference sheet. Racism's not on the preference sheet,
What are we supposed to do? They didn't tell us.
So what we're going to do, we're going to be sensible, right? We're going to leave racism at the door right now.
Just for a moment.
Just for a moment.
We haven't forgotten it's there.
We haven't forgotten it's there.
You can smell it.
Yeah, you can smell it from a mile away. It's bad. But unfortunately, we do have to let racism in at some point. But we're just going to leave it at the door. We're going to
No, racism. You just wait there.
Yeah,
just wait there. No. I'm just going to let everyone else in first.
We're going to let everyone else in. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get into it. But first of all, we're just going to talk about the movie as a movie. Now, full disclosure, I've not watched Birth of a Nation. One, because I'm not a film student or a racist, and they're the only two people who have watched this film. And two, and this is the other thing that you have to understand about this, it's over 3 hours long.
It's 3 hours and a bit.
Yes.
I was actually shocked to learn how long it was.
Yes. Yeah. There are movies that I actually want to see and that runtime puts me off. I don't want to watch this movie. And so I have not watched Birth of a Nation.
I have watched a little bit of it because I said to you before, I had actually never even seen a still from it. I didn't know anything. So I was like, all right, let's do a little bit of preparation. Let's have a look. It's all on YouTube, by the way.
It is all on YouTube.
In its entirety.
In its absolute entirety.
I clicked through it to a handful of scenes, and I wish I hadn't.
Yeah, no. But again, we're leaving that at the door right now.
Do you know what? I wasn't even talking about that. I was just talking about silent films are hard to watch.
Yeah, they are. They
really
are.
Quite difficult to watch as a modern viewer.
Yeah. So, but we're going to talk about the sort of film production as it is, and then we'll let racism in, and then we're going to...
Wait, just stop it. No. I'll bring you some food.
But on a technical and sheer scale of a production, it's mental.
Compared to other things that we have seen from that period, again, I don't mean to keep mentioning Walt Disney, but in terms of the things that you're doing, the live action stuff they were doing, oh my goodness, that film is enormous.
It is, and even by today's standards, it's still damn impressive in that sense. For starters, Griffith did not work with a shooting script. It was all in his head. He would just tell people what to do.
Now, it kind of shows. There's a little bit of it being 3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
Tells you that like you didn't have the fullest plan going in.
It had 500 extras, which is a hell of a lot. Although a figure that was used for marketing at the time said that there was 18,000 extras.
There are scenes where you can believe it.
Yeah, there are some sources that do still claim that, and I just wanted to put it on record that no, that it is not that many.
We're doing a lot of myth busting, by the way, because it's something we did find. There is a lot of misinformation about this film because many people have also not watched it.
Many people have also not watched it and gone, well, yeah, 18,000, that probably seems right. I look at some of the stills, a bunch of people on there. The battlefield scene takes place during the North-South American Civil War. Cost the film's initial budget of £40,000. It was, or $40,000, sorry. That was all used, which is around $1.2 million today.
For one scene?
Yeah. For one scene.
My goodness.
One of the things as well, to communicate to the actors of what he wanted to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you've got the big megaphone, but they're firing blank rounds, so you can't hear anything.
Yeah. That's that thing you have to remember as well, of like, they're not prop guns. They're just real guns.
Yeah, they're just they're firing rounds and stuff. They were blanks, but again, they're blanks.
We've seen what you can do with a blank.
Yeah, and they're also still pretty loud. So to communicate what he wanted, Griffith would use coloured flags to indicate what he wanted. So like speed up, slow down would be like different colours. And again, that's one of those things
that's really smart.
That's a really smart idea that, people just didn't really think about that. There's a few others of these that go forward.
I don't want to give him that credit, but that's very smart because I saw a stage manager do something very similar recently with t-shirts.
Yeah. The film budget rose to $100,000, which is around $3.1 million in today's money. He secured funding through new studio Fine Arts that he had the backing of Harry and Roy Aiken. Roy recalled the conversation that he had with Griffith saying, Griffith said, I wanted to create a longer picture, one that would be showed for the evening's entertainment. We asked, well, how much will it all cost? Well, I'm thinking for this one that I've got in mind, around $40,000. Well, both me and my brother, you might say, almost fainted.
And you go, well, wait till you find out what it actually ended up costing. Both monetarily and societally.
Yeah. Movie's initial film reel was 1,500 feet long. That is about 36 hours of footage.
That's ridiculous.
So it had to be trimmed down. Obviously, they weren't going to show a 36-hour-long film, although Griffith probably would have loved
I was going to say, he would have sat you down and made you watch that.
Yeah. But Griffith was editing, and he used, several techniques that, again, were pretty crazy for the time of using fade-ins, fade-out, dissolve transitions and stuff, which, again, had been used before, but were kind of, like, being used in a certain way that was like, oh my gosh, The film as well was like 6 weeks worth of rehearsals to get this down. Like it was, it was pretty huge.
Intense.
The other part of it that, again, people were like blown away by was the score of the film. There was a full score written for it, 3 hours. On premiere, the movie had the full LA Philharmonic Orchestra playing the film score, which like added to the spectacle of it.
Absolutely. Because again, the little bits I saw, music is very prominent. And compared to some of the films at the time, which have that kind of tinny piano, this is a full orchestral, like it's very big. It makes you feel like the thing you're being told is very important.
Yeah, it just never been seen before. Carl Brown, the cinematographer for the film, said of the experience when talking about, we'll let the racism in. We're getting a little lit. We're getting.
Do you want to just take your coat off? I'll take your coat. Just wait there.
We're getting a little icky here. Talking about when the Klansmen are riding on horses, coming in like towards the end of the movie at the climax.
I know exactly the bit you mean.
Yeah. It was a call to arms. You weren't watching people riding horses. You were riding with them. You weren't riding with them to rescue somebody. You were there riding with them with stern determination
Yes.
and vengeance.
It's a hard to watch scene.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like the scene there, they're playing Wagner's Flight of the Valkyries.
Yes, they are.
So, but again, it's like a big, massive,
and
roaring.
it's shot. It's so triumphant.
Yeah.
It's really reminiscent to kind of. This is a bit later on in cinema, but when they have like films with like Romans in and things like that, they're really trying to capture that like grandeur of a thing. Like, I don't really have the words for it, but we know Jared and I are both doing big hand gestures.
Big. It's big.
It feels important.
It's epic in that like awesome in that like way that
truly like the meaning of awesome. Like it gets you in that like wow.
That's what they're going for. But what is the plot of this 3-hour epic?
I never knew this. So genuinely, I checked this and was kind of like, huh.
Yeah, 3 hours.
Like, I did not realize that it was about the assassination of Abraham Lincoln.
Well, there's a lot more to it, but yeah, there is part of it. So, the film is actually based on a book and play called The Klansman by Frank E. Woods.
What a fun play.
Yeah, I know, right? The film kind of fleshes out and adds bits to the story, which is one of the reasons why it's quite effective, because the play is kind of more of what is the second half, because it's split in two. The play is more about the big action, big, we don't like them. You know the people we don't like. It's a lot of that. Whereas Birth of a Nation has kind of a bit more of like a heart to it, fleshes it out and makes it a bit more human.
It puts a lot of characters in it. Again, I don't know anyone's name. I know there's a guy who kind of goes throughout it and he has a lot of...
Yeah, well, I'll tell you about the very brief synopsis of the film. The first part is about two families from the north and south. The family from the north goes down to visit family friends in the south before the start of the Civil War. The first part is kind of more, like I say, about building relationships, giving it a bit more of a human element, building up sympathy with the characters. And the second half is where we let racism in. So we're gonna let racism in. We're gonna.
All right. Do you want tea or coffee? No, you're not having alcohol.
It's absolutely not.
You can have a room temperature water. Grateful for it.
You're not having fridge water.
Oh not. No, you don't get a lemon. Racists don't get lemons.
So it's the sort of showing the scenes of the Civil War, the start of it. There's an election in the South where a corrupt governor gets elected, where only black people are allowed to vote and white people are denied the vote.
Oh.
Yeah, it's yeah.
We're going to try and get through this as quickly as possible because it's hard to do without just both of us going, ugh.
Yeah, so,
No, racism, stop it.
So, black people are now in charge. I've taken this next bit as a direct quote from Wikipedia because it's,
You just didn't want to reword it. No, that's fair.
The reason why the Klan come back is inspired by observing white children pretending to be ghosts to scare black children, Ben fights back by forming the Ku Klux Klan.
I saw someone joke about this on a YouTube comment that this was all because children are pretending to be ghosts. And I'm fuming that that's true.
That is true, yeah.
Again, for the listener, I have been rubbing my eyes this entire
time. Then there's a lynching by the Klan, which leads to the governor passing a bill that allows interracial marriages. He then tries to marry the daughter of the Southern family from earlier.
Yes.
The Klan get involved, saves the poor white girl. The town has been overtaken by black slaves, where they are tar and feathering white people. The Klan runs in, saves the day, which is where you get the Flight of the Valkyries bit. They hold another election. The Klan make sure that black people don't vote in order to restore values, Only white people are allowed to vote, is what they say. And the families end up marrying together.
Marrying,
whatever. Marriage binds them together. and they all live happily ever after. Sure.
Yeah.
So our old friend racism has really like stunk out the joint here.
Yeah, I'm really like bummed out by that. I saw a handful of those scenes. There is also a scene that has nothing to do with anything by my accounts, in which a black man appears to a white woman and she gets so freaked out that she falls off a cliff.
That is the part of why the Klan end up lynching the black man.
Oh, right, because I also clipped through and saw like that moment. So yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
And then it's just like hard to watch.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's just like
it's quite hard to, and like I say, I've tried my best to separate the two, but it's hard not to kind of get
I said this to you in a genuine moment of, isn't Donna very sweet and naive?
Yeah.
I assumed it would be a little more subtle. I don't know why I assumed that, and now I feel very stupid saying that, but I thought it would be the thing that you like read the dialogue and go, oh, I understand the nuance of that. No. It is kick your door down some of the most vile garbage I have ever witnessed.
Yeah.
Like, I am impressed by the things that it does. Like, it is big. It is, I can see the technical ability on it, but it's really hard to care when what you're seeing tells you at your very core, nope.
So I want to, again, I'm not running defense for this movie, but I do want to say a couple things about it there.
No, absolutely. We want to be as...
Yeah, because like you, as you have said, a lot of people know this movie and have not watched it, myself included. I'm going to be honest.
I think the thing of, there's a lot of people who haven't seen it, hearing about it from people who haven't seen it, who have heard about it from people who haven't watched all of it.
Yes. So there's a lot of that, and I kind of want to put a couple things into there that I think are overlooked. And some of the, like, one of them I think is a very big one. But this first one that I want to put out there is that I read a lot of places that said that there were no African Americans in the film and that it was only white people in blackface. That's technically not true, because there were a lot of African American extras, but there are no actual African American characters. You know, there's every main character who has anything to do with the plot going forward. That is an actor in blackface, a white actor in blackface,
and it's
another one. And this is kind of the bigger point that I do want to get onto, is that a lot of people say this movie came out and everyone loved it. It was like, yeah, cinema, baby. We're here for it.
Movies, popcorn.
Movies, popcorn is what everyone was saying. That is not the case. It was a controversial film at the time.
Yeah, I believe that.
And it's just as controversial now, you know?
Yeah.
Case in point, it was originally titled Klansman. They renamed it to Birth of a Nation because of that, because people were like, ooh, no, that's a bad connotation. We do not want that.
Because for enough people, the Civil War was still within living memory, right?
Yeah,
like
the thing that you have to remember is that like people were still alive who fought in the Civil War.
Exactly.
The Civil War was closer to then than the Second World War is to us now.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's one of those time things that I go like, oh.
And even Vietnam. Like, Vietnam is further away for us than the Civil War was.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So that kind of puts it into a bit of perspective of where we were. Riots broke out in Philadelphia and other big cities, and 12 mayors just banned the film outright because of the nature of it. And while it was praised for its scope and technical feats, the New York Times called it melodramatic and inflammatory. However, we do have to get into it. The absolutely awful stain that this movie leaves on history. And it's that it did bring back the KKK. And the organization had really reduced in operations at this point. It wasn't, it wasn't gone.
But it was certainly on the decline, and this was the thing that for a lot of people kind of just lit that fuse.
In a 2015 article for the BBC, Alan Scott, author of Civil Rights Cinema, said the film is one of the most racist films ever made. Maybe the most racist film ever made. The film depicts lynching as a positive thing. The politics in the film essentially say that certain black people are worthy of being lynched. It's, in a sense, extremely racist. In 2021, Harvard University did a research paper on the film. On average, lynchings in the country rose 5-fold the month after the film arrived in the US.
Holy.
Yeah.
That's like appalling. That's like, that is one of those like statistics that like punches you in the gut. That's horrendous.
Like, it really is like such a huge...
Because it just emboldens you in that way of, like you said, of, oh, it's a positive thing.
Yeah.
It's already this opinion that certain people in the country had. Yeah. And then a film goes, oh yeah, you're like super cool for doing that. Which you're not.
No. Absolutely not. So that, it is a real big stain on the movie. It unfortunately, it's just there. You can't ignore it. Like, all the technical feat, all the everything around it
is completely and entirely negated. Like, I just can't care. It's not that I don't. It's that I can't. I genuinely can't have it in me to be interested because of what it like brings later.
What it brings on. People said that D.W. Griffith was not a racist in person.
All right. Sure.
I'm not one of those people, but people have said that. One of the defenses that I absolutely cannot like get on board with.
Sorry, I'm still like sitting with that going, no, I'm not racist. I just made a super racist film.
Yeah. In 1911, D.W. Griffith made a short called The Rose of Kentucky, which depicts the Klansmen as bad guys.
Oh, no!
They attack a white man, for not joining their organization. Now, to that I say, that's like you making a TikTok saying, hey guys, I'm not racist, then proceeding to make a 7-hour YouTube video essay about how much you love being racist.
You're absolutely right. And I saw this whilst watching it on YouTube. There were a lot of people in the comments going, well, it is racist, but I have a lot of respect for you for sitting for a 3.5-hour silent film. And I'm going to go podcast official take. I don't respect you for doing that. You've wasted 3.5 hours of your time on absolutely nothing.
Like I said at the beginning, the only two people who have watched this film are film students, because they have to, and racists.
And I reckon film students didn't watch all of it. You haven't got 3.5 hours in a lecture. You're only going to watch little clips. Doing so doesn't tell me that you're smart.
Yeah.
It is a very low IQ activity to sit and watch this 3.5-hour film and go, I'm brilliant because of this. Because they're also, like we said earlier, old films are hard and boring to watch.
They are hard and boring to watch. That's absolutely
so if that is what is motivating you.
Yeah. The other argument as well that people have made, and D.W. Griffith did end up in the 1920s really rejecting the Klan. He was like, nuh-uh, no way, do not like it, don't want anything to do with it. This came way too late, in my opinion.
Yes.
In the 20s. The other argument that people would make was the Klan were on the rise and that this would have happened anyway. We don't know. I don't think you can definitively say that.
I don't think you helped. I think by having a thing that actively promotes...
Yeah, I think this would be my point of, even if it was gonna happen anyway, you definitely sped it up. You definitely were part of the contribution of what happened, you know?
It's too... From the film coming out and an increase in lynchings is not an accident. It's not Nicolas Cage and shark attacks.
Yes, no. There is
it's
a
not
clear
a film
line
about
of
sharks killing Nicolas Cage, so they go together. Like,
no. But going back to the film world of it, box office. So it's interesting. this is quite a fun thing about box office at the time,
Ooh, okay.
is that it was very common for productions to inflate their budgets, say that they spent more money, because it was believed that it was a good marketing tool.
I believe it, because we see this sometimes now in modern films as well, that you see like they spent so much on this effect, so you go, all right.
Yeah, they spent so much on it, so that would like sort of pique interest.
Because what are they spending all that money on?
Exactly. You've got to see to find out. So the numbers that we have, I've taken from Wikipedia.
Okay.
So we can take this with a grain of salt. The movie cost around $100,000, but made anywhere from $50 million to $100 million. But I'm thinking that this is probably over lifetime. Some sources say that it's closer to $15 to $20 million.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
But it had a higher ticket cost. It ran for 44 weeks in Times Square at $2.20, which is around $68 in today's money. So yeah, it's a high ticket item, you know?
I guess for like a 3.5 hour film at that time as well was like, because like you said, it was pitched as like an evening's entertainment.
Yes. Other fun thing about this movie, first movie to have a marketing budget.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. But it's a big success, you know, unfortunately. Unfortunately, it's a big success. Now, as I said at the beginning, we are only covering 2 movies. D.W. Griffith made a bunch of movies.
A bunch.
So many. Like I say, in his first year at Biograph, he made 48 pictures. Which is wild. And after the next movie that we talk about, make a bunch more movies. But there are only 2 movies that have given D.W. Griffith an iconic status.
Okay.
Birth of a Nation and the follow-up, right?
Which I actually didn't know existed and know nothing about.
Do you know what it's called?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
After Birth of a Nation.
Yeah. A little bit, you know.
His thing, that would be so funny.
So, how do you follow up the biggest movie of all time at that point?
By making an even bigger movie.
By making the biggest bomb of all time at that point. So, but yes, the idea is of making a bigger movie.
And what's bigger than a 3.5 hour retelling of the American Civil War?
What is bigger than that? So,
Oppenheimer.
Griffith starts making his next project immediately after birth. And its working title is The Mother and the Law. And it's a bit of a smaller movie.
Okay.
Loose plot synopsis of it is that there is a couple and their baby is taken by a corrupt orphanage. But Griffith is there, you know, and he's got a bit of a bee in his bonnet, you know. The reception of birth, there was a backlash, and he decides that, like, I don't like this, you know. So he writes a pamphlet talking about the intolerance of people trying to censor his movie.
Oh, God, he's just the first guy with a podcast.
So he depicts examples through history of censorship. This includes the crucifixion of Jesus. I've written here, I guess the Romans were too woke and tried to censor Jesus, I suppose.
There is no way that we can record what my face is doing right now, Jared. But how would you describe it? Because I'm, like, stressed.
You know, it's okay. It all works out in the end, though, right?
Does it?
Yeah. He makes the biggest bomb of all time at that point. So, you know.
We don't have to deal with him anymore.
The other thing is that there is a movie that comes out called Cabiria in 1914, which has huge scope, a massive set, including this ginormous palace set and a bunch of extras.
Oh, I've heard of this.
So Griffith is like, I want to outdo that. Plus, a bunch of other people were like, you need to follow up Birth of a Nation in a big way. Like, you're making this like little rinky-dink picture about, a family and a baby being taken from an orphanage.
Boring. We had 30,000 extras.
How are you gonna outdo that? So rather than release the small movie, The Mother-in-the-Law, he's like, what if I crammed 3 other movies into it?
Great idea.
Genius.
This one movie's not enough. What if we put other movies in it? A strategy Avengers has taken to its core.
I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, I guess. Like,
that was the first thing I thought.
So he decides to cram in the next couple movies that he wants to make into one. So
still no script.
A little bit.
Just
running
it on the fly.
Running it on the fly. So he has a story set in ancient Babylon in 539 BC. Mm-hmm. The biblical story of Judean, 27 AD. Mm-hmm. The French Renaissance in 1572. Right. And The Mother-in-the-Law, present day. Hi, Editor Jared here. I realised that in this segment, I actually don't name the correct title of the film. It's actually called Intolerance. So The Mother-in-the-Law was the original title for the film, and then it changed to Intolerance because he thought everyone was being intolerant about censoring his movie, Birth of a Nation. So he redoes it and renames the film Intolerance. So I just thought I'd pop that in there because I didn't actually mention it. So anyway, back to it. So kind of imagine like The Passion of the Christ mixed with a gritty Channel 4 drama, you know? Ben-Hur and This Is England.
Okay. I can't imagine those two things.
Neither could people at the time, it would seem. So.
I'm just imagining like a guy in a Burberry tracksuit on one of those like Roman carriages.
That's a good one, yeah.
Hey kid, gotta get out.
The movie was stupid expensive, but Griffith was rolling in it. He was making all those residuals from Birth, baby. So he's paying for a lot of this out of pocket.
Really smart to do that, I hear, when making films.
Yep. He wants to sort of like add on to this movie that he's already made.
Yep.
So he makes this set of Babylon, which was huge. It was massive. Mm-hmm. So there were ramps along the city walls that he was making that chariots with horses were actually racing along.
Okay.
The set was hit by a storm and had to be battened down with cable ties and railroad spikes.
Yep.
But the damage to the set was already done, so it was described as a death trap. The horses that ran along it freaked out on these high, unstable walkways.
Because film sets are like temporary; they're not like real structures, really.
Yeah, no, but this one was. You could race chariots along it.
You could, not that you should.
Well, you know, who cares about that at this point? The camera operators had a really hard time trying to get a focus on this big, massive set. It was huge. It took up like most of a block. Like it was.
Because again, we're working with like cameras that have 3 legs and a guy who has to crank it.
Yeah. Well, how do you film such a thing?
You don't.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
We don't have like dollies at this point, like prop dollies to like be moving things around. So the idea, which came to Griffith, was like, haha. Hot air balloon.
Which is only an idea that you could have had before 1920.
Yeah,
Anytime
exactly.
after 1920, no one has ever solved an idea by going, hot air balloon.
A hot air balloon, yeah.
Because that's a reasonable result. This racist just floating over going, nailed it, figured it out.
Unfortunately, though, that didn't work.
Because why would it?
The reason why it didn't work, Billy Blitzer, the camera operator from earlier, got too sick in the hot air balloon, so they couldn't do it.
And no one else could.
But they came up with like an elaborate elevator sort of system of like going up and down with 2 cameras on it.
Okay.
And Griffith was just having way too much fun seeing the scale of this thing, the thing that he had created. He became like a bit of a madman. He was just,
as you would.
He was just loving the like sheer scale, thing that he was making.
He built his own like Babylon. Which,
yeah, exactly. That was it.
again, I don't mean to keep talking about Walt Disney, but he built his own theme park and went, I'm the king.
Yeah.
Like, it does a thing to you when you build a big thing.
Yeah. So, and like one of the things that he did was like there was a tower that he rigged to fall down that was just kind of just on top of the camera crew, just like right there, just falling down. And the camera crew were like clearly shaken by this. The other thing that he wanted was live elephants to be
Amazing.
used. To be
always good.
To be used as battering rams.
Oh!
And later, mobile siege towers. Now, getting hold of animal wranglers at this sort of time, very difficult.
Yeah, because it was just whatever guy was brave enough to go, yeah, I'll deal with that.
So they got elephants. They were not trained in any sort of way, and got a mix of male and female elephants.
That's always a mistake.
Yeah.
I do know, and they probably did this very similarly because they used to do this for circuses. What they would do is go to Africa, collect like 30 elephants to bring them back because they go, well, at least like 25 of them are going to die.
Yeah.
So like if we have a bunch of them,
we'll get them. Yeah, caused a big problem. They
as
couldn't.
It would because elephants are appalling to work with generally.
They couldn't be maneuvered or directed.
They're very smart. They're very independent. They don't really like being told what to do.
On one of the shooting days, there are recorded 60 injuries on the film set.
Jeez.
Griffith also asked in one of the scenes for extras to jump off the set into safety nets. And they all went, absolutely not. So he raised their day rate, $2 to $5. And then everyone was volunteered. They were all volunteering for it. He was quoted as saying, stop those crazy fools. I don't have enough safety nets or money for it.
You started it, though. Ongoing theme with him. You did this. This is your fault.
So the set was then torn down, and in its place was built up the big palace set.
Okay.
Which had a bunch of white elephants and big, huge castles, and it was big and
impressive
and elaborate. And this, took time because, they had to completely rebuild a set from the ground up.
And figure out what to do with all these elephants. Yeah. That they, at this point, have just released somewhere in LA.
Yeah.
They're just wandering around.
Once filming was completed, the initial edited cut of the movie was 8 hours long. And Griffith wanted it to be shown in 2 4-hour blocks.
Very similar to Nymphomaniac by Lars von Trier.
Yes.
A really long film that he cut into 2 parts kind of unnecessarily.
Well, cinemas said, no, we're not doing that. Recut it again.
Well, yeah, because in terms of like a business perspective, cinemas don't need people buying 1 ticket and hanging out for 8 hours when they could sell 4 tickets for 4 2-hour films.
Yeah, exactly. And cinemas were at this point in time starting to get a little bit more of a sway in what movies could and couldn't be made. So they were like, no, not doing that. So he cuts it down into 3 hours and cuts out several subplots from the movie. Anita Loos, who was tasked with coming up with the on-screen cards and dialogue for the movie, because obviously you didn't have voices.
We weren't a talkie yet.
We were not in the age of the talkie, so she had to come up with the dialogue and, like I say, cards as to where we were, which Griffiths was a little bit resistant to at the time, but, because he wanted it to be pure cinema.
Oh, so he didn't want the...
But it's 4 movies being stitched together.
So you absolutely need to have some context, because there's only so much an audience can figure out.
Yeah.
I'd way rather watch this film than what I watched of Birth of a Nation.
She was described as extremely moved by the picture. But what she actually thought was, DW's lost his mind. And would say, I looked at it in awe because it had been a mystery, this film. People didn't know what it was.
I think that's the thing that you're like, wow. And he just hears the word wow and not you going, wow. is this?
She continues. But I thought it was awful. Anita, though, interestingly, would later go on to be a screenwriter for the movie Gentlemen Prefer Blondes in 1953.
Oh, that film's very fun, which we should watch at some point.
We should. The thing that absolutely killed Griffith's chance of making money was the insistence on it being a road show. Now, it was what we kind of later know as a road show, but it was a road show, which would be it being toured around cinemas with a full orchestra and full decoration for the cinema, that it would have to be like completely, decorated for him.
And see, that's fun. That is a thing we don't do anymore, right? I imagine going into a cinema and it being decorated for the film is very like, ooh.
Yes, and like going around with a full orchestra, which they do for some things,
Yeah,
Like
we see them a lot at like Christmas and stuff.
Yeah, we do. But the box office didn't exactly live up to expectations. Now, again, we have to go on the thing of reflecting for movies that budgets were hugely exaggerated. And there was a release before the movie came out, an article written that claimed that it was a $9 million budget, which would have made it the most expensive film of all time until 1953. So it's kind of doubted that that is actually what the budget was. But again, going off of what Wikipedia says and kind of being readjusted for everything, the budget was was probably around $2 million. It only managed to make about $1 million.
Not even close then.
Yeah. The movie, though, huge success in Russia. However, it was all bootlegged over there. So Griffith didn't make any money from it.
Do we know why it was so well received in Russia?
They like the scale of it.
That's really fun. Because given what I assume are his politics, he's not going to love that either.
Probably not.
Especially if it's bootleg. But I'm glad he didn't make any money from that.
Well, Griffith, who had financed a lot of the movie himself.
Out of pocket.
Paid for all the overtime for the extras, and hadn't really been saving any money. He made Birth of a Nation and was like, I'm rich.
I'm king of the world.
Yeah.
And you go, no, you're not.
He drove a lot of fancy cars. He wore a lot of tailored suits. Unlike a lot of his contemporaries at the time, like Charlie Chaplin, who was very frugal with his money, really saved it. Griffith did not.
I do think, again, there's two schools of thought of there are those men around this time who you want to be seen to be making money and spending money because that's how you're successful. And there are people who are smart.
Yeah. And that's it. He had so little money that the film set that was on Sunset Boulevard, the big palace with the white elephants, would remain there for 4 years because he couldn't pay to get it taken down.
For a minute, I thought you said he was going to have to end up living in it.
No, maybe he did.
Given everything you've said, I imagine he tried to.
Yeah, so it remained there till 1919.
Whoa, just rotting and...
Yep. The LA Fire Department had to tear it down because it was a fire hazard.
And I bet they love doing that.
And Lillian Gish, the actor who had been alongside him for most of these films, one of the people who really convinced him, you need to make this movie bigger, summed up his career going forward quite nicely. Although none of us were aware of it, and he was still to make great pictures, he would be harassed by debts till the end of his life.
Good. Good. I'm really glad,
He would go on to carry on making movies, but he would pass away on July 23rd, 1948. He was discovered unconscious in the lobby of the Knickerbocker Hotel in LA, where he had been living alone.
You don't want to be found unconscious in the lobby of a hotel.
That's
a little undignified. I don't want to delight in the death of anyone, but the things that you produced have caused so much ill in the world that I find it hard to feel any other emotion than, oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
But what an interesting person. Not in terms of themselves personally, but in terms of like
what they produced, what they made, and the impacts that it had.
Yeah.
You mentioned Oppenheimer.
Yes, I didn't mean to.
But it's a bit of an apt comparison. So he wasn't really remorseful about Birth of a Nation, but he wasn't also thrilled with what it had produced. He was very much linked with the KKK, which he was never personally linked with.
Yeah.
But he also wasn't exactly like,
no, guys, they're bad. Like, he's not out there going, no, you've missed the point.
Yeah. You know, his next movie was called Intolerance to get back at people who were like trying to censor his movie.
Yeah, you wrote a little pamphlet about how all these liberals think I'm... Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know.
Which is a super mature thing to do.
Before we get into the lesson, how to be an icon from this, we got to give some big old shout outs to people who have been listening along. Shout out.
Gorgeous little icons.
Absolutely. Shout out to One Hayes on Spotify, who said, funny, insightful, worth a listen. We'll be tuning in for more.
Thank you so much.
And Heavy Pickles on Instagram, always giving us shout outs, always leaving us comments, always leaving us likes.
Absolute icon. Thank you so much, Heavy Pickles.
Absolute icon. So, lessons. What lesson would you take from D.W. Griffith, if any?
It's a really difficult one because, like he said, the impact on cinema going forward is important. And I think mine would be to just look at what other people are doing around you at the time and like figure out how to use that intentionally. So like you said, things like close-ups and cuts were being used kind of more in terms of utility rather than like artistically.
Yeah.
Just having that eye to go, this thing. Also, don't make a film about the KKK.
Yeah, this is a big one. Don't make a film about the KKK.
Just don't be racist. It's not even for an icon. Just don't.
Mine would be don't lose sight of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, Intolerance is kind of the thing that killed his film career.
Yeah.
And like kind of killed his relevance.
It comes off like bitchy and petty and it's a little petulant, really, to...
And you said about, like, you know, looking around at what other people are doing and learning from it. And, like, the thing that, you know, he used both in his early movies and what he used in Birth of a Nation was cross-cutting. Big thing that he learned. One of the big, most impactful things in Birth of a Nation that made it so effective of, like, cross-cutting between scenes, building tension, building that and this, that, and the other. He took that very literally, made 4 movies by cross-cutting them together.
And going, they all go together.
They all go together. They're 4 films. It's so big.
And you as the audience need to figure it out.
It's so big, so huge. And then, losing sight of what the audience was actually wanting and willing to go along with. Like, you know, it's like Birth of a Nation again, bad movie, but it is a focused narrative on like
it has a very direct A to B.
You know,
you can follow it very, very clearly.
The thing that people did really kind of like grasp onto and why it became so big was because of like the human elements of it that really big build into the kind of final act. So, you know, the big flight, the Valkyrie scene. And, you know, the first movie that he was initially going to make, The Mother-in-Law, was kind of like a more focused, very human, very real,
very like direct,
very direct, gritty kind of film. But then he built a big set to Babylon and being like, oh my God, isn't this
like
cool?
Maybe don't let your ego get away with you.
And that's it. Keep focused and don't let your ego write checks that you physically cannot cash because you can't take the set down for 4 years.
When you're going, I'll pay for it. The other lesson is don't finance a film yourself.
That's that one.
Because we just see that never works out.
But yeah, no. My lesson. Do not write checks with your ego that you cannot cash with real money.
That's a brilliant point. This was fascinating. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like one of our more heavier episodes, and I really do appreciate if you have made it through. Please leave us a comment.
If you made it through, give yourself a big old pat on the back.
Big old pat on the
racism, back. You're not getting dinner. Get the F out.
Get the F out.
Take your coat, take your stinky film, and be done.
But yes, thank you so much for listening. Like I say, please leave us a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, your podcast platform of choice. Leave us a comment. Please share it round and follow us on Instagram, on X. We really do appreciate it. But thank you so much.
We love all of you. Drive home safe, y'all.
Drive home safe.